What if the greatest test of your leadership isn't how many people follow you, but how many people you're willing to serve? This question just flips the world's idea of leadership upside down. Everywhere you look, success is measured by titles, power, and recognition. You climb the ladder, you build the business, you prove your worth by how many people answer to you. But Jesus turned that model on its head. He had more authority than anyone who's ever walked this earth. And yet, he wrapped a towel around his waist, knelt down, and washed dirty feet. Let that image just sink in for a minute, right? The Son of God, the Lord of all creation, kneeling before fishermen and tax collectors, doing the job of a servant. That's what real leadership looks like. Not a man standing above, everyone else, but one willing to get beneath others and lift them up. And if you're a husband, a father, a business owner, or a leader of any kind, that example isn't optional. It's a standard. Today, I want to talk through how to balance authority and humility, how to lead like Jesus in a competitive world that tells you humility is weakness. Because the truth is, humility isn't weakness. It's a strength under submission. In Mark 10:42 through 45, Jesus said something incredibly profound. You know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles lord over them. Not so with you. Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. Jesus didn't condemn greatness. He redefined it. He said true greatness isn't found in how high you climb, but in how humbly you're willing to serve. In Philippians 2, Paul describes Jesus this way. Though he was in very nature God, he did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but made himself nothing, taking the form of a servant. Humility isn't denying your authority. It isn't, lying to yourself or others about your abilities. It's using your authority to bless others. Here's what I want you to remember. Authority anchored in identity produces humility in action. It's no secret that our culture praises and rewards confidence, not character. It applauds the man who wins, not the one who serves. So we start to believe that gentleness is weakness and that serving is beneath us. But that's a lie. Authority without humility becomes arrogance, and humility without authority becomes passivity. You need both, strength and submission, conviction and compassion. When you lead with humility, people don't respect you less. They trust you more. Humility builds credibility. It creates an atmosphere where people follow, not because they're forced to, but because they believe in your heart. And the same is true at home. Pride builds walls. Humility opens doors. If you're always the boss, never the listener, never the first to apologize, your family may obey your commands, but they'll keep their hearts far from you. That's why this balance matters. So let me give you 5 ways to lead like Jesus. Number 1, anchor your identity before you lead. Before Jesus washed feet, John says, he knew who he was and where he came from. That's the key. When you know who you are in Christ, you don't have to prove yourself, through control or image or accomplishment. So before every meeting, before every hard decision, take 30 seconds to pray. Lord, help me remember who I work for and who I belong to. That simple reminder resets your motives. You stop striving for approval and start leading from security. Number 2, lead from principle, not pressure. Every leader feels pressure, to deliver, right? To outperform, to prove worth. But pressure-based leadership burns out. Ask yourself, am I making this decision because it's right or because I'm afraid of looking weak? If Jesus made decisions based on pressure, he would have bowed to the crowds. Instead, he stayed obedient to his mission. Lead that way. Make decisions anchored in principle, not popularity. Faithfulness will outlast pressure every time. Number 3, set aside time to serve quietly. You can't grow in humility without practicing it. So make service a rhythm, not a rare event. Do something no one expects and no one applauds. Take the worst parking spot. clean up after a meeting, or check in personally with someone on your team who's struggling. Those small, quiet acts form the muscle of humility. They remind your heart that leadership isn't about recognition. It's about reflection. You're reflecting the heart of Jesus, who said, "The Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve." Number 4, give credit freely and take blame quickly. This one separates good leaders from great ones. When things go right, shine the spotlight on your team. When things go wrong, step in front of it. Nothing builds trust faster. Your people will follow a humble, accountable leader 10 times faster than a prideful, defensive one. And if you lead a family, this principle is just as powerful at home. Be the first to apologize. Show your kids what it looks like when a strong man admits he's wrong. That kind of humility, leaves a legacy they'll never forget. Number 5, keep a towel and basin mentally. When Jesus finished washing the disciples' feet, he told them, "I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you." He didn't say, talk about it. He said, do it. So here's a practical idea. Keep a small reminder of service near where you lead. A towel on your desk, a verse on your wall, something that whispers, lead with humility. Let it remind you every day that the highest form of leadership is not control, it's care. So here's my challenge for you this week. Be both the CEO and the servant. Use your authority with confidence, but let humility shape how you use it. Before you walk into your next meeting, pray this prayer. Father, make me strong enough to lead. Father, make me strong enough to lead and humble enough to serve. Then take one intentional step of service, something beneath your title. Maybe it's thanking your assistant, helping a team member, or asking your wife what she needs most from you this week, and then doing it without hesitation. Because here's the truth. You don't lose respect by serving. You earn more of it. So lead boldly, serve humbly. That's how you lead like Jesus in a competitive world. If this episode challenged you, then you're in the right place. I hope you'll subscribe to the Courageous Men podcast so you never miss that challenge and that encouragement every day. Let's take action. Let's be courageous.